It's a new year and the same story for Notre Dame football as the Irish enter once again in must-win territory. Like last year, win out and you're in the playoff. Lose again and your season fate is likely out of your control. But the Irish aren't the only team with a sense of urgency in South Bend this week. Their opponent, number 16 Texas A&M, hasn't beaten a ranked team on the road in 11 years. This is one of the most important Irish home openers in recent memory. This is a top 20 matchup in primetime, and this is Shamrock Sports. And welcome to the second floor Duncan Student Center. It is time for Shamrock Sports, second episode of 2025, alongside Molly O'Malley and Chris Daly. I'm Tyler Ritty. So glad to be with you on this second Friday of September. Huge weekend on campus as number 16 Texas A&M rolls into town to take on the 8th-ranked Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And this is a massive contest, like we just outlined, very early on in the season. Notre Dame 0-1 with the 3-point loss on the road at Miami in Week 1. And now likely needing to win out. So, Molly, I'll start with you. In your eyes, why is this game so important for the Irish, and what does it mean for the rest of the season?
Well, Tyler, I think this game is less about a test of talent and more about our growth. And we look at the game over Miami and what corrections can we make. I think that if we win against Texas A&M, we could restore confidence for the players, coaches, and fan base.
And Chris, looking ahead here, Notre Dame has got to find out not only that, they're a better team than what they showed against Miami, but there's not wiggle room. This schedule is pretty light on paper right now down the stretch, so this is going to be the last prove-it moment for the playoff committee.
Yeah, Tyler, you said it. This is most likely the last ranked game of the season for Notre Dame, and it's only week 3, but of course week 2 for the Irish, and there is no wiggle room. Tyler, it's win or go home at this point for Notre Dame, and go home means go to the back of the line. You're not in the college football playoffs, especially not being in the conference. Notre Dame doesn't have any room to lose anymore. They have to win this game, and they got to find a way, and they got to win the game. They got to win each and every snap in that game. They didn't do that against Miami. See if they can figure it out this Saturday night.
So this is the 7th all-time meeting between Notre Dame and Texas A&M. The Irish were in College Station to open up last season. It was the first of many ranked wins for Notre Dame, first win en route to a national championship appearance, 23-13 final down there at Kyle Field in front of more than 100,000 in Week 1. It was a well-played game on both sides. Notre Dame pulled it out late with a couple of big runs in the second half. This year's game, a little bit of a different story. Both teams have a new starting quarterback. Notre Dame, the redshirt freshman C.J. Carr. Texas A&M, the mobile dual threat Marcel Reed, who took over the starting reins in November last year. And so how similar, starting with you, Molly, is this game to last year, and what are the key differences you're looking at as well from 24 into 25 now?
Well, I think some similarities is that it's still such a big game at the beginning of the season, and Mike Elko is really looking to build on his momentum from their big win last weekend. And I think that there are some differences, like you said, with the quarterbacks being new. We have, Chris Ash is the defensive coordinator, and that's still new as last week. And so I think for Notre Dame, they really just need to step up and show that they can prove more for who they are.
And Chris, for you, this is a different Notre Dame team, not the same group that was down in Texas last year.
Yeah, I think it's better to classify it as a different Notre Dame program, right?
Yeah.
Especially under Marcus Freeman when he comes in. You go to his first game after Brian Kelly left, the Fiesta Bowl. It's a big game. Oklahoma State, a New Year's Six Bowl. Notre Dame hadn't been to one in a while up to that point. And they lose, and really in dramatic fashion, too, as they had a big lead. And you go to that Ohio State game, that play, 10 men on the field. You go to the Louisville game. They were dominated every single aspect of that game, and they also lost to an unranked Clemson team under Marcus Freeman. So you stack up all of these moments. There was a lot of doubt about Marcus Freeman heading into last year. Now, after that run, Notre Dame beats Indiana in the playoffs. They beat Georgia, who's coming off of a few national championships. They beat Penn State, who were a favorite to win it all. All of a sudden, Marcus Freeman is not just a coach in college football. He is the coach. He is the guy that recruits want to play for. He is one of the faces of college football. And And the program is in a much different situation, or in a much different spot, thanks to Marcus Freeman. The expectation now, Tyler, it's to win the national championship. Last year, there were still a lot of questions about if Notre Dame can even make the playoffs under Marcus Freeman.
So there are your stakes. Very important game this weekend here in South Bend, coming up at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night. Coming up after this, we will dive into how Notre Dame can win that football game and get into play calling after this break on Shamrock Sports.
No ball? Let the seasoned ball knowers at Shamrock Sports get you up to date on all things ball around Notre Dame. Shamrock Sports airs 3:30 p.m. every Friday right here on NDTV. Go Irish.
And welcome back on Shamrock Sports. Notre Dame and Texas A&M coming up in just over 24 hours here in South Bend. We're going to talk now how Notre Dame can look to win this football game and pick up its first victory of the 2025 season. As mentioned before, totally different Aggie quarterback the Irish are seeing this time around. Last year it was Connor Wigman. He's now at Houston. This season, Marcel Reed, dual threat guy. He's been incredibly efficient to start off this season. So Molly, for you, what can this Notre Dame defense do to prepare for him and contain him Saturday night?
Yeah, well, I think what Notre Dame really needs to do is win the pass rush in order to force Reed to stay in his pocket. The defensive ends are and outside linebackers can stall the rush to force Reed's legs to be less available. As we know, he does like to run, and he has the ability to run. We see that a lot. He's a little more inconsistent when he's with his deep throws. So if we can force him to do that more, I think that's going to be best for Notre Dame.
And Chris, Notre Dame physicality was a bit of a problem down in Miami. Carson Beck barely had the uniform dirtied 2 Sundays ago at Hard Rock Stadium. So the Irish are going to need to ratchet up that pressure.
Yeah, the Irish only produced 1 sack, and that's just not going to cut it, especially if you want to beat Texas A&M, another top 25 team. And my biggest thing for Notre Dame is finishing the tackles. It's something that Marcus Freeman had emphasized in his weekly press conference. He talked about not wrapping up. They weren't really mastering those fundamentals they had worked on all through fall camp, and it's something that he wants to see. Now, as for Marcel Reed, he's dual threat, but he can also throw the ball. He's gotten a lot better in the offseason. He's been working with tons of coaches, guys who have coached Pat Mahomes and Baker Mayfield, some great NFL names. But at the end of the day, offensive coordinator Colin Klein for Texas A&M, he knows he's got a superstar on his hands, and that superstar has a superpower. It'd be stupid not to utilize that superpower. He wants Reed to run the ball. Notre Dame has got to have a spy at the quarterback. And Marcus Freeman said, we don't want a spy, but a magician doesn't really reveal his tricks, Tyler. I think we know that. It's magician's code. You don't reveal your secrets. So for Notre Dame, you got to look to have somebody, maybe KVA or Jalen Sneed, to keep an eye on Reed throughout the game, and then from there be able to pressure him when he does burst off and decide to scramble.
Yeah, A&M, 16 offensive plays are 20 yards or longer already this season. It's been an explosive offense so far for A&M. And for Notre Dame, 2 weeks ago in Miami, wasn't really looking to be explosive on offense. Mike Denbrock, the OC for the Irish, very conservative with the game plan, a lot of screen passes, RPOs for CJ Carr. But Notre Dame might need to open things up a little bit more, or maybe not. Chris, for the offensive game plan, you go to your lead horse in the backfield.
You do. I love the Beatles, and all you need is love. Jeremiah Love is a Heisman candidate. Ashton Jeanty was a superstar for Boise State last year. Cam Scatterbo, Arizona State, they should have never been in the college football playoffs, but Cam Scatterbo led them there. Why? Because those coaches decided to give the ball to their star man. It's a world where you just have to listen to all the fans. Everybody wants to see Jeremiah Love touch the ball for Notre Dame. 10 touches is really not going to cut it against Texas A&M. And then you go to his right-hand man, Jadarian Price, only 6, all on one drive. There's a lot of questions to be raised there offensively. So for Notre Dame, you give the ball to Love, you give the ball to Price, you can also control the clock, something they did not do against Miami. And for Notre Dame, we'll see if it proves successful, because I imagine they're going to feed Love a lot more.
Yeah, Love last year at A&M, 14 carries, 91 yards, and the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter. And Molly, for you, we saw a lot of good things from Notre Dame in the air in that fourth quarter, coming back from 14 behind at Miami. So you think they can lean on CJ Carr a little bit more, open him up a bit, and use his pass catchers to get the offense rolling?
I agree. I know a lot of people want to see more from J. Love, but we need to utilize our wide receivers. We have Fields and Fajon and Greathouse. And how many Did Great House have in the Miami game?
0.
Yeah, 0. Yeah, 0.
0. So we need to utilize them more, get CJ Carr, throw in some deep throws, get the ball down the field. And I genuinely think CJ Carr had had the most individual carries in the game against Miami. And I think that's really saying something. So, you know, Notre Dame does want to see a lot from J. Love and from Jadarian Price, but the wide receivers can also be utilized way more in this game.
All right, so that's our perspective here at NDTV. Coming up next, we're going to broaden things out to WVFI, the student radio voice of Notre Dame football, and bring on Jack Rinaldi. He'll be on the call tomorrow night for Notre Dame and Texas A&M, live from Notre Dame Stadium. His thoughts on the matchup and how Notre Dame can shut down Texas A&M right after this.
Here at Shamrock Sports, I pride myself on knowing a lot about, well, sports. And I mean all sports. I think some of the people around the office have started to lose their touch a little bit. Have you been reading up on any lines for the Texas U18 badminton tournament this weekend?
Absolutely not.
What?
No, what?
You don't think the boys from El Paso got a good shot at it this year?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Dude, you got to figure it out, man. Come on. We do this. Murph, just the guy I was looking for. Okay, so you think Mo Kabasi can go back-to-back in the Yemen camel jumping this year? I'm thinking about sprinkling a few bucks on it.
What are you talking about?
Mohamed Kabasi? Come on, man. I thought you knew. No. Dude, no one in this office. Are we serious? Kira. Hey. Okay, as a Michigander, I want your opinion on this. Michigan cherry pit spitting contest. You like Lisa Fitzgerald at all?
What's that?
Well, you live there. You don't know the Michigan cherry pit spitting?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm so sick of this club.
We welcome you back to Shamrock Sports, continuing our preview of number 8 Notre Dame, number 16 Texas A&M, game 2 of the season coming up tomorrow night from Notre Dame Stadium, where myself and Jack Rinaldi will be on the WVFI radio call live from Notre Dame Stadium. Jack, great to be with you now. Thanks for stopping by here as we continue to preview the matchup. Now, something that you and I have a little bit of a different perspective going into the game is we make the spotting board, we look at everybody up and down the Texas A&M depth chart. So I'm curious, in your eyes, who has stood out to you on both sides of the ball for Texas A&M that Notre Dame has got to shut down coming up tomorrow night?
Well, first of all, Tyler, thanks for having me on. It's an interesting question that you bring up there for sure. I think on offense, you got to look at the skill group for Texas A&M. It's a talented group across the board, but especially at receiver Mario Craver, Casey Concepcion, the transfers from Mississippi State and NC State respectively have been phenomenal. They've provided a whole new element to the Texas A&M offense that just wasn't there when we saw them against Notre Dame a season ago. On defense, there's a lot of question marks for the Aggies, but one sure thing has been Cassius Howell. He had sacks on 3 consecutive plays against Utah State in their last time out. Got to contain him.
No doubt about it. And you look at Texas A&M as well. Some weaknesses to go with the strengths. It's a different team in some ways, but a lot of returners as well coming back from last season. Mike Elko's used the transfer portal hard again going into this year. What about this Aggie team can Notre Dame try to exploit? What weaknesses potentially do you see that the Irish can cash in on? Because A&M is 2-0, but hasn't really played anybody yet. They're running into a different animal potentially in Notre Dame.
Well, they are, but they don't have a ton of weaknesses. They're a very good football team. If there's a couple things I'd want to look at, it's Marcel Reed. How big a leap has he really taken? He's been great throwing the ball over the middle of the field this season. Can he push the ball downfield outside the numbers against good competition? Something we haven't seen him do. He struggled against Texas in their final regular season game of the year a season ago. Can he provide a different kind of performance against Notre Dame today? On defense, that defensive line is very unproven. They lost 3 players to the NFL draft and NFL teams a season ago. That's a big hole to replace. They allowed 200-plus rushing yards to UTSA in the first game of the season, albeit they've been better in the second half of that game and their most recent game as well. but the Irish have to be able to run the ball against Texas A&M to have success.
It's going to be a fun one tomorrow night from Notre Dame Stadium. We're going to have some fun on the call as well. 7:30 our pregame on WVFI Sports Radio will begin at 7:15. WVFI.nd.edu and click the sports link to hear that call. Again, live from Notre Dame Stadium with myself and Jack Rinaldi. Jack, appreciate you stopping by. Looking forward to tomorrow night as we continue on with Shamrock Sports. A connection here between Notre Dame and A&M. The Aggies' second-year head coach Mike Elko was the DC for the Irish in 2017. Now he's back at Notre Dame Stadium. More on him with our next segment.
Thanks, guys. I'm McKenna Andrew.
And I'm Ethan Laszlo.
And this is Head Coach Heckles. Tomorrow, we see the return of one of my least favorite people in college football, Mike Elko.
And you know, McKenna, Mike Elko has had some serious issues with the run game over the last couple of years.
Yeah, he's definitely pretty good at running away from schools. He was the Duke coach.
Yeah. Anyway, on the field especially, we've seen Mike Elko, even in the last 2 weeks, have some issues with the run game. UTSA running back Robert Henry Jr. ran for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Aggies just 2 weeks ago.
Despite winning that game, I don't think that was $7 million worth of coaching.
I would agree with that. And also, even going back to last year, against both Notre Dame and South Carolina, Elko showed some serious holes in his defense's run game. Specifically, Lenora Sellers had quite the game running the ball against the Aggies, as well as Jeremiah Love, who returns this year for Notre Dame.
Between Jeremiah Love returning and Jadarius Price, I'm hoping that tomorrow the Fighting Irish can keep up this trend of ruining Elko's defensive plans.
Absolutely. And in arguably the biggest game of his coaching career to that point, back in 2023, when Notre Dame visited Duke, he lost the game on a game-winning rushing touchdown by Audric Estime. So this Saturday, we'll see if, for the 3rd year running, Mike Elko shows off some defensive flaws.
I hope so. This clearly isn't an A&M problem, it's a Mike Elko problem. And
Absolutely.
I'm really hoping Elko can catch the L. This has been Head Coach Heckles. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, McKenna and Ethan, for that preview on Coach Elko. I'm Kira Haffman, and I'm joined here by Ryan Murphy. We're going to get into some Texas A&M Chalk Talk.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to be back, Kira. It's been a long summer. Probably going to have to shake some rust off here, but
we got
happy to be back on Shamrock Sports, and couldn't be a bigger game tomorrow here to be talking about.
Yeah, all right. So start us off here. How does Texas A&M's front seven challenge Notre Dame?
Yeah, listen, Mike Elko was asked this week about whether his team was DLU, Defensive Line University. He kind of demurred, but there's no avoiding the topic that Texas A&M's defensive line is typically very, very good. This year, I think the best way to characterize that line would be a revamped group. They lost Nick Scorton, Shamar Stewart, and Shamar Turner to the NFL draft last year. They're revamped, but make no mistake, they're still potent. We all know Notre Dame's offensive line on the other side of things. They were really challenged last week, but I was very impressed by the play of Miami defensive end Ruben Bain. I think you'll be hard-pressed to find a better defensive end that Notre Dame will go up against this year, and that includes in this game against Texas A&M. But we'll see. They still have that rotation going on at on the right side of the line with Gerby Lambert and Sullivan Absher. We'll see how that kind of comes into play, but you usually don't want a rotation with this game of this kind of magnitude, right? You want guys to feel certain in their roles. We'll see if that comes into play, if a guy solidifies himself at all on Saturday.
Absolutely. All right, so let's take things to the other side of the ball. How is Notre Dame's interior defensive line play? How's it going? Are we concerned? What's going on?
Yeah, and Chris kind of talked about this earlier in the show, actually, but Marcus Freeman was pretty clear in his press conference this week that it is a concern, right? Notre Dame brought, I think, 17 four-man pressures on 31 of Carson Beck's, all 31 of Carson Beck's passing attempts. 17 four-man pressures. They only sacked him once. That's simply not good enough, Kira. And the A&M offensive line, they're veteran. They have 112 starts. Between the three of them, Armaje Reed-Adams, Chase Basantis, and Trey Zune III. They're all very experienced players. We're going to find out, I think, this weekend very quickly whether Jason Anye and Donovan Heinisch are the answer for the Irish in the middle of that defensive line. Jared Dawson, I thought, was very good against Miami, maybe Notre Dame's best player on the defensive line. He was brought in to start, didn't start. We'll see if maybe he takes some more reps on against Texas A&M.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for that wonderful insight, Ryan. Now we're going to take things to David Owens with the bye week breakdown.
Welcome to the first ever edition of Bye Week Breakdown. I'm your host, David Owens, and while most Notre Dame students were enjoying a phenomenal concert on Saturday, the rest of the college football world didn't skip a beat. Here's everything you might have missed in Week 2. What was expected to be a relatively slow weekend in CFB quickly struck chaos. A total of 4 teams within the AP Top 25 experienced defeat, with 3 of those matchups coming from unranked opponents. 2 historical powerhouses that missed the playoffs last year had a chance to flex their dominance, and of course we can't forget some other instant classics so early in the season. Let's take a quick look at some of the best moments from this Irish bye week. Starting off our top 5, let's take a trip down to the Swamp. Senior quarterback Byron Brown sees immediate pressure in the pocket and takes this one into his own hands. Shakes off his first tackle, weaves through 3 more, and motors his way down to the 7 for a 20-yard pickup. USF upsets Florida for the first time in school history, also earning their first ranking since 2018. Now looking at another major upset at number 4, how about this dime of a pass from Bears QB Sawyer Robertson? Perfect spiral between 2 defenders to Josh Cameron, who turns on that superhuman strength to muscle his way into the end zone. Robertson has completed 400 passing yards in each of the last 2 games, and Baylor is looking like a real threat after that double OT victory. Now, Heisman contender John Mateer has been the talk of the town in Norman, but don't sell the Sooners defense short. Watch Kendall Daniels anticipate this screen pass and lay an absolute hit stick on Alabama transfer Justice Haynes. Sheds the block and stares his target down. Oklahoma racks up 8 tackles for loss in their 11-point win over Michigan. And then there were 2. Check out this catch from Jacoby Lane. Sees the aired out ball and extends over his defender for a one-handed snag with that stiff arm plus the flag. Are you not entertained? USC continues their undefeated season, and Irish fans, these Trojans have a chance to be ranked before arriving in South Bend if they continue this hot streak. Saving the best for last, you love to see a big man score 6. This Red Raiders defensive line absolutely engulfs Kent State with a blocked pass from A.J. Holmes Jr. straight into the hands of the 290-pound Skylar Gill Howard. He takes it to the house for his first career touchdown, and the Red Raiders win this one 62-14 to move up 3 spots in the AP poll, now sitting at a number 21. What an incredible week for college football, and this season is just starting to heat up. Coming up tomorrow, we have a very exciting slate with 3 top 25 matchups. SEC thrillers continue to surge on, now with 11 ranked opponents residing in the conference. College Game Day will travel down to Knoxville, and then later that night, a huge face-off between 2 Heisman contenders in Death Valley. But up here in South Bend, I can guarantee all eyes will be focused on this Irish versus Aggies matchup. That's all for Bye Week Breakdown, and to tell us a little bit more about this first Notre Dame home game, here's Tyler with Shambookie.
David, thank you very much. What an exciting bye week and a move up in the polls for Notre Dame from 9 to 8. So a successful week on the couch for Notre Dame football heading into this big one. And of course, when you talk about action from around the nation in college football, you have to come to Shambookie, and that's where we're at right now here on Shamrock Sports. Ryan Murphy, Molly O'Malley, Chris Daly, along with myself, Tyler Reedy. And Chris, let's start with you. You're heading down to the Sunshine State for your pick to click this week.
This is the biggest game of the week in Florida, and I know everybody's talking about it. FIU versus FAU, and this is a huge game for the Owls. I have a few buddies down there. They've been telling me a lot about the Owls this season. Looks like they got a great program. And they actually beat FIU quite handedly last season, yet they're the underdogs in this game. I'm not too sure about that. FAU's got a chip on their shoulder. They don't like that they're being seen as the lesser team in this great rivalry. Give me FAU not only to cover, I think they're going to win this game, and they're going to win the showdown in Florida.
All right, Molly, you're going to the ACC.
Sure am. I think Georgia Tech's going to cover the spread. I don't think Clemson's going to win by that much. Georgia Tech may even win. That's my take. I think Georgia Tech's offense has been explosive, and Clemson has just been a little shaky.
All right, there we go. Georgia Tech, Yellow Jackets rolling with them. Ryan Murphy, you must have had a lot of free time on your hands this week because Wyoming?
I'm going to be totally real with you guys. This is an entirely vibes-based pick. Entirely vibes-based pick. I just don't like the idea. I know Utah's ranked in the top 25. I don't like the idea of them going on the road for this game, and the line right now is 23.5. I think Wyoming can cover that easily. Who doesn't like some Cowboy football? Give me Wyoming, get inside that spread. They're not going to win the game. I'm under no illusions here that they're going to win the game, but give me Wyoming to get a little closer than expected.
Okay, well, we're thinking along similar lines here because I've got another big spread that I'm thinking of the underdog to cover. Oregon State plus 23.5 right now at Texas Tech. I like the quarterback play of Oregon State despite a rough 0-2 start. Texas Tech defensively haven't seen anybody yet, and the Red Raiders usually get into a lot of shootouts. So I think that happens again in the Beavers cover in a little bit of a closer one than we might think. We'll take one more break. Our picks for Notre Dame and Texas A&M come your way next as we wrap things up on Shamrock Sports.
Hey Irish, if you want to hear the news from campus this week, watch some exciting segments, or learn about this coming weekend's campus events, make sure to tune in to ND Sunrise, which airs every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on the NDTV YouTube channel.
Welcome back to Shamrock Sports. We wrap up the show, as always, with our picks. Notre Dame, 8th ranked in the country against number 16 Texas A&M, 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night, prime time on NBC. And as mentioned earlier, WVFI, the radio voice of the Fighting Irish. Chris, we'll start with you. You know, most of us, if not all of us, had a rough go picking the Miami game 2 weeks ago. You're looking for a stronger start. Lead us off.
Yeah, I had a rough go personally. I thought Notre Dame was going to win that game. I wasn't too confident in what the Hurricanes were building, but apparently they have every transfer under the sun out in Miami. So good for them. They're definitely a college football playoff team. Saw a lot out of the Hurricanes. As for the Irish, this is a must-win game. If there's one thing about Marcus Freeman is he can inspire a team. He can inspire a university. I think Marcus Freeman pulls through in this one. I think the Irish are going to win it 30-27. If you read the Observer, my score might be a little different. So I got two out there. Hopefully one of them lands.
All right, well, we're thinking along similar lines because I've got only a 3-point difference. You know, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, you know, the Aggies are dangerous in a lot of facets. The O-line has so much returning talent. The offense has many more legit weapons than even Miami had. But I think the difference maker in this game is the sense of urgency. We saw it all of last year from Notre Dame. As soon as the Irish had their backs against the wall, they did nothing but win until that national championship in January. So I think that's the edge for Notre Dame playing at home, and the Irish win this one 30-24. Molly, you're taking a little bit less scoring in this ball game.
I am. I agree with you guys. I think Irish 27-20, a little lower because I think both teams are really going to be focusing on their defense. And I just think that there's less of a highlight and a spotlight on the offense for these games, and it's really going to be the battle of defense.
All right, Murph.
I'm with Molly here on the low scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I've never really done this before. I've been on this show for I'm a senior. This is my 4th year now, and I don't think I've ever picked against Notre Dame. And I was thinking all week. I'm like, my gut is just not. It's telling me something's wrong. I think it's very hard to beat a team 3 times. Now, Notre Dame wouldn't be beating Texas A&M 3 times. But Mike Elko, they would have to beat for a 3rd straight year if they win this game. Right? So that's in the back of my mind, and that's got to be in the back of Mike Elko's players' minds too, right? And this Texas A&M team, I think, is better. I think Marcel Reed is better. Better quarterback changes a lot, and we're learning that with this Notre Dame team. But man, most tempted I've ever been to pick against Notre Dame, and I'm going to do it.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to do it. I got the Aggies 21-20. Basically ending Notre Dame's season. I'm supposed to do some sort of dance here.
Yeah, he's going a little 12th man.
I don't
Ryan
know
Murphy,
exactly.
12th man.
I wasn't in College Station last year. I don't know exactly. You can teach me later.
You got to go to the Midnight Yell or something.
I got to go to the Midnight
Yell. I don't know. Wow, Ryan Murphy going with Texas A&M.
Wow.
And that's how we wrap it up here on Shamrock Sports. Thanks to our entire crew, Chris Daly, Molly O'Malley, Ryan Murphy, and so many more here at Notre Dame Television and Shamrock Sports. Episode 2 in the books, Notre Dame A&M, 7:30 p.m. tomorrow night here in South Bend. Enjoy the game and tune in once again next Friday for another edition of both ND Sunrise in the morning and our Purdue football preview in the afternoon on Shamrock Sports. Have a great weekend.